Welcome to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G. I am so excited to see all of you today. I'm excited because I have a very, very special person with me tonight, and we're going to be talking and just keep it real. I just love this woman that I'm going to be introducing in a few minutes. But before we go there, it's a year plus since we got into this whole pandemic. And can you imagine what a difference a year makes? I can't even believe it. If you're here in Jersey, because I'm, live in Jersey, the governor has lifted and basically saying, everybody go out there, take off your mask if you're vaccinated, and live life like it's never been like what you've envisioned. And I don't know about you, Jenny, who I'm bringing in today. I don't know about you, but it's just like, I feel like I was frozen and I'm getting ready to defrost. And so there's a little bit of some trepidation on my part to say, I don't know if I want to take off this mask. But then if I can't take off the mask, or if I don't take off the mask, what am I telling the world? That I'm not vaccinated? Yeah. But at work, we're supposed to keep our mask on. So it's been a very interesting dynamic. So what are your thoughts with school and the kids getting back?
I just started, I'm not wearing a mask at drop off and pickup anymore. Mind you, I'm outside the whole time and they use 900 different entrances, so nobody is around each other. But it's probably been a week now that I haven't worn it, but I feel like I just want to wear a shirt that says like, I'm vaccinated. I'm vaccinated, or like clip my thing here, to my shirt. So everybody knows, oh, okay, she's vaccinated. But nobody said anything to me. Nobody's giving me the stank eye that I think they are. So I'm feeling a little better. It feels weird that, like, can I go to Target tomorrow without a mask? That's interesting.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, are we on Facebook Live? We are, right, Jenny?
Yep.
So if you go on,
I was trying to figure out how to share it. So
yeah. So you can link it up to Nadine and tag Nadine, and then you'll probably be able to get it out there. Okay. Yeah, that's my son. So everyone, I have a very awesome guest, a wonderful woman. I love this woman, Princess. She is one of our own. She calls it a shiro. So I'm going to borrow her own terminology, shiro. This incredible woman, Nadine, it's almost like we're like twins in a way. She's a lot taller than I am, shorter version of her. Our kids are relatively around the same age as kids that are in college. And one of her daughters is actually associated with General Hospital. Let me tell you, I used to be a TV junkie with soap operas. I used to get up, 12 o'clock was All My Children. Oh God. 1 o'clock was One Life to Live. 2 o'clock was General Hospital. And I'll sit on the couch for 3 hours and watch all my shows. Thank God I was delivered from that, because now I have productive time. But I really wanted to welcome you, Nadine. I was praying about, the season and how much we've had to adjust. And in the process of thinking about what I do here with Empowerment Moment, I just had this inkling that there was one person that I needed to invite to be a part of this conversation. And you're the first person I thought of, because I look around and I say, God, there are women who go around, or people who go around empowering others, lifting others in the midst of their own journey. And that's what this Empowerment Moment is all about. It came out of the COVID pandemic and me feeling like, okay, I need to do something to inspire others and encourage others. And it started off as just, I'm going to just do it for the month of April, just for 1 month. And then it turned into, okay, you got to keep going, because this is what we do as, advocates, as leaders, as encouragers, as people who empower others. And I am so honored to have you sit at this table with me today to just talk about you and talk about Nissan's place and talk about the impact that you're doing and how did you think about coming up with this program. And for those of you who may not know Nadine is in the social media space quite a bit because she's doing a lot of amazing work. We were just right before we got on live, we were just talking about a program that she had for mothers. And she was, I guess she thought about me and she's like, I would love for you to be a part of it. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I had a program that I had forgotten about that I had scheduled for Haven International around the same time. So if I couldn't go, I wanted to make sure my moms went. And we were just talking a little bit about that. But before we get into that, I just wanted to just welcome you to this space. And I invite you to just, if you hear noise in the background, she's going to tell you why. And this is part of what we do. So Nadine, welcome to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G. So pleasure to have you here.
I am truly honored to be here. You are an amazing woman. You are someone that I am so blessed that God has placed on this earth and in my path, and to be a shero along this journey called autism. So thank you for having me. I'm in awe of you because what you do and what your organization do, not only domestically, but internationally, it touches my heart because so many of our families need supports, and people don't realize that in other countries it's even worse for them to get what they need. And for you to stretch your arms out that far, it's amazing. I'm inspired every day by what you do. But with that said, I just want to just mention I was a little heartbroken when my daughter decided to leave General Hospital.
Oh, really? Did she really?
She left General Hospital, but I'm very pleased to say that General Hospital was an amazing experience for her. She's now at Netflix, and I'm excited to share with you that she's working on a special project. It's a new animated series. It's called Ada Twist. Ada Twist, the scientist, is about a little African-American girl with pom-poms that's being co-produced by the creator of Doc McStuffin and by Howard Ground Productions, which is the Obama Foundation's production company. And my daughter is not only a script coordinator for them, but she's also now writing. So we'll see some amazing things coming from her in the future, even though I'm going to miss my time at General Hospital. With that said, I'm excited for her next chapter. But, we're here today because we both share someone who God placed in our care because he knew that he had to find the most powerful, the most strongest, the most God-gifted women in this world. And he placed our special blessings in our hearts, which is our sons. Nason is my blessing. He's my last child and my only son, who was diagnosed with autism over, I want to say 15 years. He'll be 17 years old this year. He's about 6'6", moving to 6'7", and he's 320 pounds.
Wow.
Non-verbal, but he has made some significant strides through this journey, and it takes a village to get where we are. And I remember the day that we finally got the diagnosis, even though I knew something wasn't right when he was about 18 months, to finally get that diagnosis. And back then for us, and Genevieve, you can attest to this, it was DDD, developmental delay, not otherwise specified. And what was that? I had no clue what autism was. I mean, I did my research. I found out what it was after I cried for so long. All my dreams, all my hopes for Nason, we're not going to be what I wanted him to be. And the minute that I had to accept that was the minute that I knew I had work to do to get him the resources and the services that he needs. And I live in East Orange, New Jersey, which is Essex County. A lot of urban inner cities here. And when I tried to find programs and services, unfortunately, I could not find them, which led me on a journey to start a nonprofit organization inspired by my son to provide services. The one thing I kept seeing and hearing about is, workshops and what you can do. But, in the communities that we live in, we needed direct impact. We needed to have an after-school program, a Saturday program. We need sensory-friendly activities where our children could be able to be who they are without anyone judging or staring. But what I also learned through this journey too is that we needed to educate. It was very important for me to try to educate others about autism, because honestly speaking, I used to be that person. I was that ignorant person, and ignorance is just not knowing. I had to get I had to learn to not be angry with the people who would stare at me and my son when he would have what I call an involuntary meltdown, and what most people call tantrums, in the middle of a grocery store or the mall, and how I'm trying to drag him to get out so that I can get him away so he can go through his moment. I had to learn that I used to be those people, that person, and I had to learn to educate. So through Naissan's Place, our goal is to help, gain acceptance, give these families opportunities, right? And give them hope that they're not alone. And the one thing I realize is that people should not leave their communities to get resources for their children and families affected by autism. And I got to tell you, Genevieve, as Dr. G, as we sit here and we talk, I remember the very first Saturday program that we did. And I think it was back in 2000, I want to say 13 or 14. And we were looking for funding. You were the first person who reached out your hand to us, an organization, and gave us our donation so that we could hire a staff, so that we can give these children a place where they could come to on Saturday with trained professionals who understood what they needed and who also understood the need for these parents to have a little bit of de-stress time. And I will forever be grateful to you and my goal for doing that and opening up those doors for us to be able to provide the programs and services that we have been able to do.
Well, I still remember when you and I met at Panera's. And I don't even know who made the connection for us, but you came and we sat and you were talking about the work that you were just embarking on. And I'm thinking to myself, this is part of the mission of my goal, to support families facing autism and other intellectual disabilities. And specifically, how do we ensure that they get connected and get resources that they need? And here you sat saying, I'm a mom. I'm trying to do I'm trying to do my things for my son, but I can't get resources in my own community. And for me, that has been so touching. And for our viewers, we just even went years later, recognized Nadine for her work. And every time I turn around, no kidding, there's more that she's doing. And what is amazing is you're raising your son now, and you're talking about being home, and some of you could hear his voice in the background because he's home with her and she's on this show. But it's not just here, but doing it and going around and doing it all the time. Nadine, what is the secret sauce to what you do, and how do you keep going?
God, I believe that we all have a purpose, and sometimes we don't even know what our purpose is. I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to do God's work, and that's to help others, as I also live the journey of raising a child with autism. I was in the banking industry for almost 25 years. That was my career. That's what I was going to retire from, a nice pension, a nice job. I was happy. Autism changed my life. I don't know if I even shared this with you, Genevieve, but when Naissan was diagnosed with autism, the same year my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He was given 6 months to live. That was in July of 2006. I'll never forget that year. 2006, my dad was diagnosed in July with pancreatic cancer and was given 6 months. My son was diagnosed in September of 2006, officially with autism spectrum disorder. At that time, I knew that I no longer could work the job that I was working 16 hours a day as a manager at Citibank. I knew that I needed a job that would give me the days and the hours that I needed to be home, vacation days. The only thing that I could think about at that time was teaching. But when I started out in the banking industry back in the 80s, you didn't need a degree. So I didn't have one. But I made the tough decision to take on going back to school. So that same year, I enrolled in Felician College on an accelerated program. It took 3 years, and I got my bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. And that set me out, we can hear him. That set me out on this journey to want to be a teacher. But what I realized once I started subbing for a little while is that I could do more outside of a classroom. I think it was important for me to have more of an impact with just the kids in the class, but in the community as a whole. And that's what led me, took 3 years for me to decide to take the journey of starting Naissan's Place. But I think God had put so many different so many different, how would you say, visions in front of me. He showed me that this was something, even when I thought I couldn't do it, he showed me that I could do it. And he's been standing beside me, in front of me, holding me up, because there's days where I wanted to give up because it was so overwhelming, because it's not easy raising a child with autism, trying to run a nonprofit. I was also working a full-time job. I had 3 other children. So it was very, very challenging. So God is what gets me through all of what I do. And he's the reason I continue to stand even when I think I can't.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm just moved and inspired. How do we not celebrate what God is using you to do? You said it, but you're like, it's almost like you went into a second phase of your life. The first phase of your life of just doing the banking industry thing, doing what you got to do. And then now you're in the other phase of your life. If you're to compare the two, what would you say that experience is for you in terms of fulfillment, in terms of feeling like you're making a difference? What would be, well, how would you compare the two?
There's no comparisons, because helping others is the best feeling in the world. To be able to make a difference. I mean, banking, I was working because I was getting a paycheck. I'm working now, even though, Whitney San's place is still a job, but I work because this is my passion. This is my vision. This is my hope, that no child or no parent knows what it's like to feel like they're alone, that they won't know what it's like not to have resources in their own community. I've always said a zip code should never be a reason a child goes without much needed resources in their community. But what I did realize through this journey is that we as parents had to be the ones to open those doors. I mean, there's so many doors that we've had to walk through. And Genevieve, you may or may not be able to relate a little, because you're not so much in the urban inner city, but I think it happens all over, where, we advocate. And, a lot of parents say, I got to fight school districts and blah, blah, blah. I said, it's not a fight. It's an advocacy. And that's one thing you have to understand. And we shouldn't be fighting with one another. We should be advocating together for the benefit of the child. And that's one of the things that I'm very pro of, working with school districts, working with community partners, because together we can make this happen. Together we can make sure our children, no matter what their disability is included into their community, but also to educate others. The one thing that kind of bothers me a little is that we don't educate in our communities about disabilities. I know there's HIPAA laws, but if you put a child in a classroom, an inclusion classroom with another child, and they're doing something like this, and the child, atypical child, doesn't understand that. I remember being in a classroom substituting one day, and it was an inclusion class where a young man who had autism, he was high functioning, and he was doing STEMing. He was STEMing. The little boy said he was retarded. That was a teachable moment. I couldn't be angry with this little child who had no clue, but I think it's important that we need to continue to educate, because it's important for our children to be accepted. Through Nasan's place, I got to tell you, to watch the relationships that have been built, the fact that our children now get invited to birthday parties, the fact that our children now have play dates, the fact that our parents now have someone that they can call a friend and communicate with. We've become a family, and as you mentioned, the Pamper Me Day, some of those mothers were there for the very first time. And I'm going to pick on Leah for a minute. She said to me, wow, you remembered my name. She did a post on Facebook, and she said, wow, she said, so many times people don't even remember my name. You don't know how I felt to be felt like she said, I felt like I was so important, and everybody there was just so welcoming, and that's how we should always feel, no matter what our social class, our religion, our race, our color, creed. We should all be treated with respect no matter what. And this journey of autism has been the most rewarding for me. If I had to compare the two, back to your question, it's definitely helping and seeing the faces of so many people and the lives that we touch. And I look at my son, it's because of him. And I used to question God, why me? Why my only son? Why my only child? Well, why not? He gave up his only begotten son for us, all of us. So I had to accept that, and now I'm going with it. And I got to tell you, it's not always easy for me. People look at me sometimes and they say, Nadine, oh my God, you do it all. You're so strong and blah, 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 blah. And I said, you know what? I'm human. I do go on social media and I do post. And there's days where I went out there because I want people to know that I'm just like them. I have my moments too where I need supports, I need help. It can be overwhelming, but you get through it. You keep your faith. I tell people the one thing that gets me through it all, is my faith, that I know that the brighter days will come, or this moment will pass. And they've already come, Nason being able to go to the bathroom by himself, Nason being able to understand, to put his clothes on. That means that he gets to go outside to get his shoes. I mean, all of that just correlates to my faith and what God can do if you just believe and get the supports. Because, faith is one thing, but you got to get the right supports within your community. You got to get the ABA, you got to get the speech, you got to work with your school districts. One thing is important too, Dr. G, and I think you know this as well, is that school is only one piece of our puzzle. So parents, if you're listening, please understand school is one piece. We have many pieces that we have to do outside of class as well, but we have to all work together.
Now, thank you so much. This is like, so tell us a little bit more about Nason's Place. What are the upcoming programs? That's really one of the things I wanted people to know. I also wanted, when we get to that, how to partner.
Okay. Well, Nason's Place is a 501c3 nonprofit that was started back in 2012. And it was an organization that was formed due to the lack of resources in and around underserved inner city communities of Essex County. Nason's Place has turned into something I couldn't have even imagined. My goal originally was to get some respite in here. But, after doing more research and talking to other organizations and realizing that the more was needed, we have grown into an organization that has provided after school programs, Saturday inclusion enrichment programs, basketball camp, sensory friendly movie days, holiday celebrations, masquerade celebrations, any and everything that we can do to get our children into the community. I was there to do it. Some people tell me, Nadine, you do way too much. No, I don't do enough. We need more. We need more resources. We need more people, and our families need to be counted and they need to be included. So that's why it's important for me to try any and everything. So if the atypical kid's going to do it, our kids are going to do it too. But we have to give them the space and the opportunity, and we have to put the right professionals with them. And that's important to us. So those are some of the things that we do. But I got to tell you, Genevieve, Dr. G, I'm so just going to do it.
That's it.
Last year, just like any year for all of us, nonprofits and the world, was our most challenging year to date. I cannot tell you, when the pandemic happened, it was like, what are we going to do? Because everybody didn't know what to do. Our children were now no longer able to go to school. Our children are now no longer able to get the services that they are routinely used to getting it. What do we do to help the autism community still be able to cope and deal with what they were dealing with? And, I got to tell you, through the faith of God and so many amazing people coming to help, we were able to provide Chromebooks. We were able to provide other technology devices, sensory items, trampolines. We took in whatever we could take to these children to make them feel like they had some normalcy in their homes, at school. If they needed, like I said, a trampoline, if they needed balls, if they needed sand, if they needed books, whatever they needed, we were able to provide those things through COVID. We were able to provide food, over 3,000 meals to our families within the community, gift cards. I even went food shopping where my children wanted to strangle me because they said, Mom, it is COVID. You can't keep going to these homes. But these families were there with no one else to help. So we had to spring into action. I had some amazing volunteers and autism moms who were out there also with me. But we were able to do an autism summer camp for 5 weeks. Everyone was rambling about what we're going to do in terms of camp, but no one thought about the autism population in our community. And I said, we got to do something. So with the help and support of St. Matthew's AME Church, our community partners here, they opened up their parking lot to us. So we actually used the parking lot, did a 5-week Saturday inclusion enrichment program. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because Nason sees my phone ringing and he goes, that's something he would have never done before. Awesome. Even though it's on vibrate, he notices that it was ringing. For me, that's a autism mom moment. But he saw the phone ringing, even though it's on vibrate. But we were able to offer an after-school enrichment program. We did a backpack giveaway last year. We even took 30 kids away for a weekend respite. Wow. During the pandemic. And I
Wow.
gotta say, to God be the glory. We
Wow.
had not one known COVID-related case to any of the programming or events that we had last year.
Wow. Wow. How empowering is that? I'm sitting here listening to you and just like, God, you're an angel. I know you may not see yourself as that, but that is what you are. Because in the midst of challenges, that's when you rose up and, pulled a whole team with you to say, you know what, we gotta be a solution. And this is in the midst of your own personal journey
Yeah.
of that. How can organizations out there or companies out there or anybody out there partner with you to continue to do what you do?
Well, they can reach out to us at www.nasansplace.org or call us at 973-424-7781. And let me just say this, together we can make a huge impact. Alone, it's going to be hard. And that's why it's important to have the community partnerships that we have. That's why it's important for my goal, Nasan's Place, and all the other organizations. We need to come together and be there, because one set organization can't help them all. We have to be there to help one another. And I believe in best practices. I believe in sharing information. I believe in sharing resources, because if it's going to benefit a child with autism, I don't care where they live. Let's share it. Let's not hold on to it, because we're helping a child or a family. And it's the right thing to do. It's the morally right thing to do.
Well, you are a captain of that, because I've partnered with a lot of different groups. And one thing I'll say about you is your consistency in sharing information. And so when you say it, I know for a fact that that's what you do, because there's some organizations where people hold back and don't necessarily want to let you know, because it's almost like it's a competition rather than it being a community. So that's why to me, it's a joy to be able to see families getting blessed by the work that you're doing, and hopeful that what we're sharing here today will inspire more people. They say we need to partner with her. Folks, this is what she does full time. It's not, quit her daytime job to do this. I mean, I'm blessed that I can continue to still work, but here it is. I'm seeing someone who's doing it and doing it full time while raising her own son. And mind you, it's not easy when you have an individual who's nonverbal and cannot articulate the pain that they have, the struggles that they have. And yet here you go with the hope that you have. And you're right, your faith in our Lord is a big factor. I often want people to know that there is someone behind us being out there to just continue to just advocate. So Nadine, as we're going to round up, because I know that, we make this short and sweet to the point so that people can get the crux of what we're sharing here today. If you had one word or few words to empower people who are listening, what would you tell them?
Keep your faith. Know that you're not alone. There's help. There's resources. New Jersey is one of the best states, to have a child on the autism spectrum, because the resources are there. And you have organizations, amazing organizations like Nasan's Place and My Goal, who are here. And if we can't provide the resources, at least we can point you in the right direction. And more importantly, if you need to talk to someone, or here's one thing I've learned, Dr. G, through this journey, is no one really gets it like another autism mom. And I know we have friends and family. Oh, I understand. No, you don't, because when those doors are closed, no one truly gets it. So there's, unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of, if it's not millions, throughout the world who is dealing with this every single day. So reach out to another autism mom. And I just want to close out on this note, because this is going to be so important for women who are listening to this today. On July 10th, Nasan's Place is going to be hosting our very first Autism Empowerment Luncheon for autism moms and caregivers. It's going to be an awesome day of inspiration, empowerment, and we want parents to know that even though you have a child with the autism diagnosis, it doesn't mean you stop living. It just means you live differently. So save that date. More information to come.
Right. So let's say that again. It's Saturday, July 10th. What time again?
It's going to be from 11 to 3.
11 to 3. And right here in New Jersey.
It's going to be right here in New Jersey, in Union, New Jersey. I will come out with more details. I'm going to tell you, ladies, it's going to be an amazing day. We got some phenomenal women who are living their lives, still able to have careers, still able to have a personal life, still able to do what they love to do in raising their children. And I'm so honored that Dr. G will be one of our guest speakers that day. So it's going to be an amazing day.
I can never say no to you. There's a few people in life that when you call, unless something is really huge is going on. She knows that my schedule gets a little funny, so she called me ahead of time. And I'm like, actually, I was thinking about you too. Can you join us for this moment? And so I am so thrilled to be a partner with you on this journey, and we share information. And I when you say it, it's a lot of times people don't get it. They don't get the fact that, sometimes my friends will call me and like, where are you? I'm like, I'm driving because I need to give Nicholas his ride. And that ride has to be at least an hour long. So and the day that I called you, you were on a ride. So, the pandemic had taught us to be creative. And it's caused us to not also, like you say, keep the faith. So as you said that one word that I got, or a scripture that I got during this time, and usually I just share part of my faith with our audience as they listen. A few weeks ago was my birthday, and one word that I got, because it was just when I get into those seasons of just we feel exhausted, is from 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And I'm going to read from the Amplified version, and 1 Corinthians 15:58, and it says, "Therefore, my beloved brothers and sisters, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Lord, always doing your best and doing more than what is needed. Be continually aware that your labor, that is, what you're doing for your children, what you're doing for your family, is not in vain." Be aware, be continually aware. Even at the point of exhaustion, that whatever you're doing is not futile, it's not in vain, it's not wasted, it is not without purpose. You heard our sister here today sharing why she has a purpose and what she does. So Nadine, I'll say this to you: be steadfast, be immovable, keep the faith. And it's interesting you said that, because that was one of the words that I got this whole month of May. And I've been resting on that. I shared that with my moms when we had our special needs Moms Day. And as I was thinking about what particular word to kind of empower people with, that was what came back again. Be immovable, be steady, be focused. What you're doing, even when you're at the point of exhaustion, it is not in vain, it's not futile. You shared Leah's story. That I remember that day, she was so excited when we did a prize, a door prize, and her name came up, and she was just so excited. And just to think that Pamper Me Day was just, even for most women, but more than ever, was for this person who said, "You remember my name." That is what we're talking about. That is what we call empowerment. That is what we call purpose. That even in the midst of our own journey, our own struggles, our own pain, we set up aside a day to have women pampered. And someone came from South Jersey to come up there into that area, and she was remembered, and she felt empowered, and she felt she mattered, just because a woman called Nadine decided that this is something she wanted to do. And she thought about me and said, "Hey, how about inviting somebody else?" And we were saying we're going to be random about it, but it was not random. It was God ordained. And it changed and transformed that woman. And now she's become your friend on Facebook. So she's like, okay, I got another family, another community to join. But it's just really important for us to know that God has created each one of us for a purpose. And most of the time we find our purpose in our pain. And you don't feel the pain as much because you discover the purpose. And that's so crucial. So Nadine, I want to say thank you. You are going to be coming back and back and back, because we want to use this platform as an opportunity for people to support your ministry. I call it ministry because anytime you're doing something that is bigger than you, it's a ministry. Anytime you're doing something that inspires others to be better, that's a ministry. It is not just when you hang up a shingle that says, "I'm doing church," or "I'm doing a religious activity," but it is really impacting others' lives. And so I want to thank you for coming out today and being a part of us. Pastor Lorraine, thank you for joining us. She's my spiritual mom and board president. Thank you, Sister Foluke. Thank you for joining. And I know the people who are going to be watching in replay, check out, our activities that are coming up in June. So in the month of June, we have a social hour with our own dear Jenny here, June 10th at 7 p.m. We want you to join us as we have that exciting program. We'll continue to have Empowerment Moment every, the last Thursday of each month. So we will ask you to join us. And we're going to have a special treat for dads. June is, Father's Day is recognized. And we know that especially the dads out there who have now left. I can't tell you, and I know Nadine usually recognizes her dads also. So just in case you think she's only remembering moms, she does programs for dad also. So please give a shout out to the dads, and we'll have a special program for them also in the month of June. So once again, I just want to thank every one of you for being a part of that and being a part of this amazing time. Nadine, I love you. I appreciate you. You're a godsend, and you are an angel to so many families. And on behalf of the community, I know, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I want to honor you for who you are, the blessing you are, and the grace that God has continued to give you to do the work you're doing. And I'm going to continue to pray for you for that strength, for wisdom, to continue to empower more and more people. So we want to say thank you for joining us. Join us again next month as we continue to do the programs that brings joy and encouragement to all of you. So from my heart and to your homes, we love you, and we say see you next month. Bye-bye now.
Bye, everyone.